Nintendo Switch, it's here. We love it, but was it rushed? What's up, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. I've got Gabe and Jake alongside me. The three musketeers of the Switch universe have joined forces once again to talk about if the Switch came too early. Now, we all love it, no question. It's selling very well, but it has had some issues, and some people have questioned certain aspects. So today we're talking about that.
I think we have different opinions when it comes to this too. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And traditionally consoles are launched in the fall, and people have made a big to-do about Nintendo's numbers thus far in March, given the fact that it is a spring launch as opposed to a fall holiday launch. And some have said this is a smart move, giving themselves basically an 8-month lead up until Black Friday, 8.5 months. Some people have said it was a rushed move, that they forced this thing out too fast, and that's why there's no virtual console. That's why there's no solid online. That's why the lineup is small. That's why there's some of these issues. But Jake and Gabe, what is your perspective on? I know we all love the system, so set that aside. Yes. But do you think this thing was rushed out, and would it have been better served to have seen a delay till fall?
I personally do think it was rushed a little bit, because there are things that are just glaringly missing, such as, a lobby system and a full-fledged multiplayer. And granted, there's not a lot of games that would even take advantage of that right now. But once Splatoon hits, once Mario Kart hits, things like that, it'd be great to have like a good online infrastructure, and we don't have that. It would be great to have.
Well, knowing Nintendo, they might the day before be like, "Hey, online now."
Well, no, they've said that the full featured online isn't coming till the fall.
Yeah, but they also said Snipper Clips wasn't coming. Snipper Clips coming at launch, and then they dropped that bomb a week before.
Yeah,
I could honestly see them doing an E3 and Virtual Console and online are ready for you to play today. But anyhow, continue, Gabe.
Yeah, well, I think it's a disservice to say that this is a complete system, because it isn't. Sure. It just factually isn't. There are things missing. So to me, but even just the verbiage of it being rushed, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, they're rushed, but they're doing well. I love the console. I'm playing a lot of Zelda on it, and I know people have problems with the lineup, but I think the lineup is actually on the low, really, really good.
Yeah.
Snipper Clips is fantastic. Fast RMX is really, really good. Binding of Isaac is a whole lot of fun. There's still a lot of great things. Blaster Master I've been having a good time with. So is there huge AAA games on it? A lot of no, not yet. Hopefully that stuff comes. But we have Zelda for now, and that's it's a pretty big game. So and we've talked about the lineup, so I won't stick to that. My only thing then becomes the Wi-Fi issues, Wi-Fi issues, things like that. Maybe could have been avoided if they would have maybe taken a few more months to figure everything out. That's my concern.
And I think people feel differently about that. And Jake, would you rather have a console as quick as you can with some bugs that are going to get ironed out along the way, or would you rather have it withheld for that more pristine release?
I don't think it was really rushed. I think there was a couple of things they overlooked, and had they taken a couple more months, would they even have discovered it or, been aware of it or thought it through, such as the dock, putting extra padding in there to make sure it doesn't scratch. If they had withheld it another month or two, would they have even thought of that idea? Who knows? But I don't think it was rushed. I think that I'm not even going to talk too much about games, but I think trickling them out and even trickling out features not launching with Virtual Console, I don't think was that big of a deal, because they're putting enough stuff in the eShop to kind of cover that up to where then when they do put out Virtual Console, it'll be a bigger deal. It's almost like breadcrumbs along a trail to the pot of gold of the holidays. I think that the online infrastructure could have been more solid with launch, but again, with Nintendo's kind of pop-up shop anywhere mentality, they could at E3 or whatever, iron that out and quell a bunch of people's concerns there. Again, with the Wi-Fi thing, would they have even discovered that it was having issues if they withheld a couple months? I don't know. So I definitely think there was things that got overlooked, or maybe just mistakes, or didn't think it through 100%. But I don't think it was rushed. And again, the Wi-Fi thing, it's doing better for me now. So I don't know if there was a subtle update, or if it was just over time I got used to my signal in my house, but it seems to be even doing better now than it was on day one. So yeah, overall I don't think it was rushed. I think they're kind of have a good tactic of slowly dripping out goodies along the way. But I think there were definitely things that either got looked over, or they were trying to cut corners or something that could have been a little bit more well thought out.
Yeah, it's impossible to know if there ever was initial, holiday launch plans. It's impossible to know, was this thing initially scheduled for the fall of 2016 and then they got, moved into spring. So we can't speculate there. But what I will say is I think your kind of ideology there is an interesting one, because this thing releases, it has some issues that I feel are less widespread than we're made to believe. I feel like some of the videos on YouTube and some of the internet posts create this mirage that everyone's having scratched consoles and everyone's...
Wait, so you're telling me that the internet blew something out of proportion? That's so
sarcasm.
Zach, stop
Label
lying.
That sarcasm, please.
Stop lying to me, Zach. That cannot be.
Well, and so you have some issues, which ultimately gets Nintendo more press. But if you look at it sort of the way Jake laid it out, which is, okay, you have this great console that has this awesome concept, right?
And also, I think the games at launch, even though they weren't many, were enough to sell. Like Zelda and Snipperclips and stuff like that was enough to sell it.
For sure. And you have this hybrid that's not affected, right? You can't take this thing on the go. It's not like, oh, the signal cuts out, right? There's no issue there. And then if you build this system up with features like, okay, now VC is in. Okay, now online's in. And then you get to the fall and you're like, dang, we got ARMS, we got Mario Kart, we got Zelda, we got Splatoon, we got Mario, and we have a system that has consistently month after month improved. Now you're sitting so pretty at a point where people can feel good over and over again about the console. Because think about like Xbox One. It took forever for them to correct that UI that people didn't like. It took forever for them to correct the slowness. So rather than implementing like a rush system, in a way, maybe a more stripped down feature set is the smart way, so that they can over time release well done features. And I guess like they keep themselves in the spotlight because of the new news and because like, hey, this is added. And there surely is like a sarcastic and kind of negative undertone. But for the most part, it's like, okay, they are growing and building month over month. And I think that was probably eventually their goal, was to have a lineup that is, a fully fleshed out and widespread and genre covering lineup by November of 2017, and a system that is locked and loaded with all the features they initially planned, and come into that holiday season with already, 5-6 million sold and do gangbusters over the holidays.
Which is fine. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I think that it's almost like it's evolving as you play it. And so like you play it and you're enamored at the beginning with the different play styles and modes and local multiplayer and stuff. And then you're like, okay, I've had a good time with that. Now I want online. And so like, okay, we'll give you online. And then, this would be a great console to be able to play Mario Sunshine on the go. Okay, we'll give you VC. So it's kind of like it evolves as you play it, and then you like leaves you wanting more, and they're able to deliver, as opposed to like everything all at once, and then you're like, oh, now I'm kind of done with this, and there's nothing really new coming out to look forward to for an extended period of time. So like you never can put it down. Sort of, it constantly has to be like in your hands, so you're like checking for updates and like getting new things.
Just to play devil's advocate here, like Xbox One and PlayStation 4 just they released a more full-featured console, and they're still evolving. So it's not like oh, we're launching a stripped-down console so we can evolve over time. No,
I don't think Nintendo was purposely like. I don't know. I mean, VC maybe they're purposely.
Well, I mean, because that's sort of the point that you made.
Yeah, we're going to give you something you cannot do anything
I definitely think Virtual Console is a purposeful withholding.
Yeah, well, 100%. It is. Like, a lot of these things are purposeful withholdings, like, to be honest.
I think it's to give them, sort of whatever you want to call them, megatons or mini-ton announcements that they can say, Virtual Console, boom, it's out, and release it as if it's a brand new, thing.
Yeah, but, like I said, their competitors launched more feature-complete consoles, and they're still doing changes and iterations throughout the year. So you don't need to release, like, such a bare-bones console in order to, like, have, like, cool things happen in the console's life cycle. That's my only point.
Yeah. Do you think that, I think some of them, like the Switch dock scratching, is such a narrow issue that time wasn't going to do anything, but do you think that maybe some of the bugs, like the Joy-Con connectivity and the Wi-Fi, they have waited for that to be ironed out?
I feel like Jake doesn't know the extent of the Wi-Fi thing, because I don't know if he saw the video that I made, but a lot of the Wi-Fi issues that people are speaking about are not the same issues that we were having when we were all in Indiana together.
Right.
It's more like it's affecting FPS. The Wi-Fi signal just keeps trying to.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were referencing.
Yeah, so I was more making reference to those. Like, there's no reason why like a console's Wi-Fi should have a performance hit on your game. So that like is like a glaring problem that Nintendo now knows about, and they have acknowledged, and they said there's a patch coming. So like, yeah, they're gonna fix it. So I do feel like having the console cooking a little bit more would have
But I mean,
revealed
like,
these problems.
Xbox and like PS4 stuff like really slow download times and like things like that. Like I don't know, like or like I've had issues with trying to sync like PS4 controllers and it takes like 5 or 10 minutes, and you'd be like, oh, this is so stupid, and why didn't they make this better and work more cleanly? But so I think like I don't know. I feel like there's still like issues with every system. You kind of have to work with it.
Where I feel there's a little bit of a difference is like, okay, yes, the Joy-Con issue is a notable one, and yes, the Wi-Fi frames issue is a notable one, but it's not like, oh, the UI is slow right now, and what they need to do is iterate on that. It's like, okay, there's not a virtual console, there's not a online matchmaking, and those will be added, but what is there is super solid. Like, the eShop is very fast loading, the downloads are very fast, the UI is snappy. So like, the difference to me between this and some of the problems like Xbox One or even PS4 had is that those were like kind of like taped together and then were made better, whereas this is more like, okay, we just don't have the features, but the ones we do have are very solid.
Yeah,
it's not like there was an issue with like, oh boy, like the UI is getting stuck, and so that's what needs to evolve. It's like, okay, we are missing some check marks, but at least the boxes we do check are all like working and feel like Nintendo's best.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, the Switch, in my opinion, is a good console. It really is. And yes, it's very early on in the life cycle, but it's selling really well. They're about to double production. Hopefully, everybody that wants one will be able to get one because they're still like sold out in some places, things like that. So ideally, this upward trajectory that Nintendo is currently on keeps happening, and good things keep coming. E3 is coming. Hopefully, we get a new Metroid announcement, and we get to see more Mario, and hopefully whatever else Nintendo has up its sleeve, and then we'll get Virtual Console at some point, and then the online at some point. So there's a lot of great stuff coming to the console, but it is a disservice to not admit that like maybe it was. I mean, rush might not even be the word, but factually, it was released with like fewer features than its competitors. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't.
I think expedited maybe a better word.
It doesn't have. I personally don't care about this.
Or is it just their strategy is completely different, and we think it's just wonky, but it's like what they were trying to do.
Yeah, but I don't care about this. But the omission of like Netflix and like Hulu, things like that, like I'm not gonna watch those things on my Switch.
You have like 18 other devices that can do that.
And of course that's my point. But there is still a small percentage of people that are going to want that, and they're bummed that it's not there.
I also think it's interesting. I mean, and not everybody has this, but like like in some of the Nintendo Switch issues videos when they like include like Legend of Zelda like having like weird polygons like flash on the screen, or like people even commented, Zach, on like one of your gameplays of like Link spinning after he's dead, like what the heck is happening, what is going on? Whereas like if that happened in like a Grand Theft Auto or like Call of Duty, like something weird happened, like that would make like the front page of Reddit as like the funniest thing ever. But like for some reason, because it was like Nintendo and Zelda, like people are like, what are they doing? They're messing up over there. Can't even make a clean game. I don't know. It seems like they have like a weird like under like just like a bias against them.
Well, yeah. Nintendo doesn't have a lot of like good like they're not in good standing with people because of the Wii U. Like the people really dislike.
Or like the straps, like people are like freaking out, like when they go on wrong. When I put them on the wrong way, they get stuck. Well, like you put them on the wrong way, so like I'm.
Well, to be fair, it is kind of easy to put them on the wrong way.
Yeah, but I mean, there clearly is like a symbol, like where you're supposed to line it up, and you can take them off. Like people just get like so flustered so quickly, I guess, as opposed to like working on it. I don't know. To me, it just seems like they're not giving enough leeway.
I go back to what people on the internet flustered. No,
it's like if you drove a car and like I crashed into a wall. I didn't tell me I couldn't crash into a wall. Now it's not working.
At what point do you think people like what game release or what point in time do you think people stop feeling like maybe it was rushed, stop feeling like it's incomplete? Like where is the moment where all of this talk is just behind us?
Once multiplayer, like online lobbies and things like that are up, like the friend system like is upgraded a little bit, and once we have like real third-party games, like I don't know that we ever get like Call of Duty or like Destiny 2 on it or anything like that, but I feel like if we start getting like big releases to that extent, like people like stop thinking of the Switch as what they currently think of it as.
And I think just the way it was set up. I think there's still gonna be some people who like still will never like kind of get over that and still will think of the Switch as like a lesser console than Xbox or PlayStation.
Well, I mean, which it is a lesser console in a lot of aspects, but it's a better console in some aspects as well. You can't take your Xbox.
But I just mean like I think even if you gave some people all the games in the world, they'd still like, well, the straps don't fit and I can't play it for 10 hours on the go.
720p or like 900p. That's a problem. Like, yeah, people are always going to complain about something. There's no way to make everybody happy. That's not going to be a thing. But the good thing is we're all really happy with it and we're all enjoying it, and the consensus seems to be positive. And
yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I agree with Gay. Like, when there's multiplayer and a lot of third-party support, I think that's when like the masses in general will be more satiated. Like, oh, this is a full-fledged system that's now complete.
Do you think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a notable moment that is going to change the conversation?
I don't think it's gonna satiate the majority of people. I think that people still like. There's been comments that I've seen like. This system isn't going to be real until I get Skyrim on it. And it's like, well, the system is a Nintendo system and the main games are Nintendo games. So like, I don't really understand those people's perspective, but I think that there is still a lot of people that don't think it's like a complete system until they can play Call of Duty with their friends online.
Yeah, I do think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe rounds out the lineup in a maybe more of a conceptual way than an actual way, but I think that title puts a lot of this to bed. Because it will have online.
Except people who are like, it's just a port, not a new game.
Well, for sure. I just think that's probably the moment, especially if ARMS is released around it. I think that is the moment where people are like, okay, we've got the big single player, we've got the big multiplayer. Yeah, online's not exactly, but it should work in theory well with Mario Kart. And if it does, I think that's the moment when you're like, all right, it's got Snipper Clips, it's got Zelda, it's got, a bunch of indies at this point, it's got, more physical releases, it's got Lego City Undercover, it's got, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I think that may be the point where the conversation starts shifting towards the Switch,
Yeah, and I think if not...
As a totally complete picture, as opposed to like, oh, hey, it's rushed, oh, let's wait, oh, you could wait, oh, and I think honestly a lot of people are going to not say it's complete until Mario.
Yeah, or I think Splatoon 2 will help a lot too. It's like a big online game that feels more new because it's like it's coming out and saying that it's a complete sequel as opposed to just a deluxe version of an old game. So I think that will help as like, a big online competitive shooter-esque feeling type game as opposed to just like another Mario Kart port that you just want to play with your friends.
They have time. Mario's a ways away. The fall. I mean, how many comments have like we seen like even on our channel saying that they're gonna get it? They're gonna wait for like Black Friday or they're gonna wait for Mario or whatever the case may be. Like people are waiting. People want,
and it's still selling.
Yeah. So
like in spite of all this, they're doubling production. So in spite of like it maybe being expedited, in spite of people being a little flustered with some of the issues, in spite of the features not being fully there, they are doubling production, which to me just validates how the idea is the crux of this system, and all the other stuff is just superfluous and secondary. And yeah, obviously it needs games, and if by mid next year there's no third-party support, yeah, then the warning bells sound. But right now, the lineup, secondary, the features, secondary, the idea is at the core, and that's why this thing is doubling production from 8 to 16 million, because their idea is successful, their idea is wanted, and their idea is filling a gap that wasn't previously filled for people, for gamers. And
again, what I mentioned this in the previous video, like their marketing of it, you can market it yourself to a friend as opposed to just like I had this experience where I showed it to somebody who had heard of it but never really seen it, and like once they got their hands and we just played the Snipper Clips demo, they thought it was like so cool how you could like play all the different modes and how many different controller settings there were and everything like that. So like the thing's gonna market itself just by sharing it with your friends and playing it with other people. Again, because of the idea and the structure of it, not because the games are so great or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, good. Let us know in the comments how you're feeling about the Switch right now. Do you feel it was rushed? Or maybe you just don't even care anymore because you're having a good time. But I do think it is interesting to examine how they chose to launch this because it does feel unconventional. And E3 will be a very telling time in terms of what features they introduce, what features they confirm, what features are ready. And hopefully the games are there to back it up. And at the end of the day, I think this idea is fantastic. And as long as the lineup is there, they are in a great spot as showcased by the recent doubling of production. Make sure to give us your feedback. We always love to hear your ideas and get your insights, so let us know. Until that time, make sure as well to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest from the Switch and from us here at Switch Force. Until then, though, everybody, for myself, Jake, and Gabe, Switch Force out.